Welcome to the Wolf Sports Show. Trusted, proven analysis of all 32 teams every week during the NFL season. Hey, it's David Chapin. Thank you for listening to the Wolf Sports Show. What an entertaining week one of the NFL season that was. From the odd start in the opener with the Jalen Carter situation, to a great Brazil game, to the Bills comeback on Sunday Night Football, to another comeback by the Vikings in a divisional matchup on Monday night. It was the first time we got to see all 32 teams on the field. It's always good. Let's keep in mind it was just 1 week, but still some things to go off with the teams finally on the field. For this episode, given that it was the first time seeing each of these teams, I'm going to go through each of the 16 results from week one with quick sort of first impressions. First, starting with the season opener. My thought for the Eagles, the Carter situation aside, obviously, which I don't think we really need to get into. He missed the entire game. Won't be suspended. He's just fined. Now basically missed the first game, so he'll be there for the Super Bowl rematch this Sunday against the Chiefs. Anyway, my thought for the Eagles kind of was, I don't know how people watch Jalen Hurts the way he just had to run around, scramble, make some plays. Receivers didn't have much room to operate against the type of defense Dallas was running. Hurts did what it takes. I think we see bigger gains from Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown this week against the Chiefs. For the Cowboys, maybe the thing that stood out more than anything was just how shocking Dak Prescott looks in terms of being slim. You could see he looks incredibly healthy, was throwing super accurate passes all night, giving guys opportunities down the field, seeing the field very well, and the Cowboys could be pretty dangerous with the way Dak looked. Chargers beating the Chiefs. Justin Herbert sealed it with the run at the end. The story for LA is how the offense was opened up with Justin Herbert throwing the ball around, had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston. That receiving group, he's confident, and the Chargers seem poised to unleash a very talented quarterback after they were run-heavy last season. The Chiefs just felt a bit off on offense. Again, season opener, they play a lot during the preseason, so it was more surprising to see them off. Xavier Worthy leaving with the shoulder injury. Hurt is unfortunate, but thankfully sounds like he has a shot to even play this week against the Eagles. It's in Arrowhead. An 0-2 start for the Chiefs in a stacked AFC would be pretty interesting, but of course we'll see what happens. Now to Sunday, let's start with Steelers-Jets. Probably the most heated game of the week. Aaron Rodgers, how his exit interview went with Aaron Glenn, the new Jets head coach. Both sides, clearly you want to start the season with a win, but it was also a bit personal. Shocking that it turned out to be a shootout. 34-32 win. Chris Boswell's 60-yard field goal was the game winner. Jalen Ramsey had the big hit on Garrett Wilson to seal the victory after the two were talking a lot of trash, especially at the end of the first half. But yeah, for the Steelers, Rodgers, 4 touchdowns. Movement, certainly a bit limited at this stage in his career. Had the Achilles a couple years ago, but he can still throw the ball, that's for sure. The Jets, Justin Fields looked really good. They ran the ball really well with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Interested to see how New York fares running the ball against the Bills this week, who struggled against Derrick Henry, and how Fields fares against that Buffalo defense. Colts blew out the Dolphins. Indy scored on every drive. I don't think we've been able to go far enough back to see if this has ever happened. The people that look up the stats, I guess, I think it's since at least like 78 hasn't happened where a team scored on every drive. So that happened. Daniel Jones' first start with the Colts. Miami, they didn't play well, but the Colts, they did play really well. Jones was throwing dimes all over the place. His back shoulder sort of throw up the sideline to Alec Pierce was one of the best throws of the week. Nice throw to Michael Pittman Jr. on a touchdown, sort of a wheel route. If they protect Jones, they'll have a tougher matchup this week against the Broncos. Jones looks healthier. They can be a serious threat in the AFC South. And then the Dolphins, I just don't know what the identity is. And it starts with a roster building, roster construction. They got a lot of speed on offense, but just seem like they're almost without a direction. The Cardinals held on to beat the Saints at New Orleans. Not an easy place to play season opener. 20-13, made a last-second defensive stop to seal the win. Will Johnson, second-round rookie corner. I think I said to look out for him the first episode of the season, and he had a good first game. That cornerback group is strong for Arizona. But the Saints, despite only 13 points, Spencer Rattler looked good. Kellen Moore called a good game in his first game as a head coach. So basically New Orleans looked better than expected to me. They didn't cover the spread. It was like 5.5, I think, but still a touchdown game, and again had a shot to tie it at the end there. Big test with the Niners this week for the Saints. Commanders beat the Giants 21-6. Felt a lot like last year for both teams. Deebo Samuel gave an injection of energy to Washington. Looks like he could have a big year. with Cliff Kingsbury dialing things up for him and for Jane Daniels. Daniels even missed some throws, a few over the middle especially, so could have been an even bigger game for that offense. But Kingsbury already dialing things up nicely. And the Giants felt like the same team from last year based off one game. Need to see a lot more from the team this week against the Cowboys. And it sounds like Jackson Dart is going to be in there pretty soon, though there weren't many opportunities for Russell Wilson, who playing behind an offensive line that struggled. No Andrew Thomas at left tackle yet. Bucks Falcons, Tampa Bay held on. Young Waiku had a chance at the end, couldn't execute the game-tying field goal. Emeka Ibuka had 2 touchdowns, including the game winner with over a minute to go. So far, living up to the hype, the rookie receiver. But despite the loss, losing at home in the season opener against a divisional opponent, not ideal. But I like the way the Falcons looked in terms of more juice on defense. Xavier Watts made some plays, rookie safety. And I mentioned before last week, James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker off the edge. And Michael Penix Jr. looks comfortable, made plays at the end of the game. Another close divisional game, Bengals-Browns. Cincinnati had 7 yards of offense in the second half, but they won 17-16. They'll take the win. They know they got to be better on offense to get to where they want to go. But typically slow starts for them to the season. Good to start 1-0. Run defense was promising in game 1. The Browns, just a couple of mistakes. What stood out for me for Cleveland was Harold Fannin Jr., the rookie tight end, had 7 catches. Looks like a real weapon for them this season and long term. Raiders won at Foxborough, beat the Patriots 20-13. Geno Smith had 362 yards in his team debut. Couldn't find much room on the ground. Hopefully the offensive line can eventually pave some lanes for rookie running back Ashton Jeanty. He did score in his first game, but Pete Carroll and company and Chip Kelly as the OC, they don't want to throw the ball around quite that much, I don't think. They'll do what it takes to win, though. On the other side, sort of the same story, but Drake May struggled a little bit more than Geno Smith. Numbers weren't bad. Had the 1 interceptions, but some misfires. I'll say it again, just one game, but it looked like sort of maybe, I don't know if it's thinking too much or just trying to get acclimated to Josh McDaniels' offense. Running the ball better would certainly help. And then the final 1 o'clock game from week 1 was another long lightning delay. 26-10 win for the Jaguars against the Panthers. Carolina, one of the most disappointing teams of the week, scoring just 10 points. Scored on a dump-off pass late to Chuba Hubbard. J.C. Horn's one-handed pick was a bright spot. For Jacksonville, a lot of eyes were on Travis Hunter throughout that win. Played, I think it was just 6 snaps on defense, so not a ton of time there. I know he wants to play both ways a ton. I think he can. We'll see if they ramp that up. Travis Etienne Jr., though, at running back, played so well, 143 yards, that the Jags traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. If him and Trevor Lawrence play well, Jacksonville can certainly be in the divisional mix, I think. Moving to the late afternoon game from week 1. Another really close divisional matchup came down the end. The Niners beat the Seahawks 17-13. It was costly, though. Lost George Kittle to a hamstring injury for at least 4 weeks, going on IR. Brock Purdy uncertain for this week against the Saints, dealing with a toe issue and a shoulder issue, so could see Mac Jones in there. Juwan Jennings banged up. One he tried to layer in there was intercepted earlier in the game, but Purdy, he makes some crazy throws, and the game winner was that to Jake Tungus. Gave him a shot, and Tungus came down with it. Banged up group, and Purdy doesn't give enough credit, and it was good to see Christian McCaffrey out there healthy, though, and playing through the calf, handled 31 touches, so that doesn't look like it's a problem. The Seahawks had trouble getting the ground game going. The Niners did a good job on that last year against them. Zach Charbonnet got a good amount of work, and he's excellent as well. Ken Walker may be working back slowly after missing some time over the summer due to his foot. But that backfield tandem and how the work is split is something to watch moving forward. Broncos beat the Titans 20-12. Defense had 6 sacks for Denver. Offense surprisingly struggled. Onyx had a couple interceptions and a fumble, so that's very rare. The 1 interception, Cortland Sutton, I don't think knew Roger McCreary was there on a deep crossing route, and McCreary made a nice play, came off his other route. For the Titans, Cameron Ward in his first start was throwing some lasers. Receivers couldn't come up with them, especially at the end of the game, but he has confidence immediately, and that wasn't an easy spot at Denver for your first start against that defense. The Rams, a defensive battle against the Texans, won 14-9. The connection with Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford immediately very strong. Davante Adams looks like he's going to fit perfectly there. LA defense, very good game 1 for them. Now they face the Titans and looking to get to 2-0. Texans, the first game with a new offense, new coordinator, remember there, but felt kind of the same as it did for much of last year. So I don't know if that's a good sign. They'll look to get going. Nick Chubb, though, not big numbers. I think 60 yards rushing on 13 carries, but I thought he looked good, and establishing him could help set up play action where CJ Stroud excels. And then finally, Packers-Lions, perhaps the most surprising result to me. While I was concerned about the interior offensive line of the Lions, didn't expect that type of performance in the first game. We were basically dominated from the start. Packers started hot. Micah Parsons had a sack towards the end of the game. So a great first outing with Green Bay for him. Packers offense is deep and dangerous. Defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley looks like he's not going to make things easier on opposing offenses. With now Parsons in there as another chess piece. Thursday night football between the Packers and the Commanders. That's going to be a fun one. Detroit faced the Bears this week. I want to see them get Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery going. Everything works off that if those two are doing damage. Sunday night football was the 41-40 win for the Bills after being down 40-25 in the fourth quarter. Looked like they had no shot. A ton of fans left the game. Ed Oliver made some splash plays, including the forced fumble on Derrick Henry, which was very surprising to see from Henry, and he'll be better for that. I don't think we'll see that happen again, especially if they have a rematch or just in the playoffs in general. Henry, an outstanding start otherwise, still one of the best players in the league without question, even as he's at age 31, going to turn 32 this season. The Bills, though, that game sort of shows that they're always in it with Josh Allen. Needs a little bit of help, ball to bounce their way maybe like it did on that fumble. Like that game-winning drive, which is ice cold, orchestrated by Allen. Keon Coleman stepping up in year 2, it looks like. Big game for him. Dalton Kincaid healthy. Bills got to figure out that defense, get healthier there. But to get a win, that could be huge at the end of the year with seeding. And Baltimore, we've seen it too many times with the defense over the years, a new season, but still. That said, offensively, Ravens, they're just almost impossible to stop. And then finally, Monday Night Football, Vikings-Bears. Chicago was out to a great start. Looked set to control that game. Good start on both sides. The pick six by Nashawn Wright in the third quarter. From there, the offense just couldn't get much going. In the second half, they just had the touchdown at the end. That was it. I think it's a matter of time for Ben Johnson, as I've said. Maybe some work needed on the roster. The Vikings, on the flip side, a shaky start for most of the game. And then after that pick six, J.J. McCarthy turned it on, hit Justin Jefferson for that big touchdown, got going as a runner on the zone read. You don't want to put so much stock into one game, especially the first game of the season. But that could be pivotal already for McCarthy with a team that talented and Kevin O'Connell's offense to immediately just have some adversity and overcome it, have the teammates going crazy. Should be very confident for a team that just won 14 games last season. So that recaps week 1. Hopefully week 2 is even close to that good. So that'll do it for this week's episode of the Wolf Sports Show. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel right here on YouTube, and you can also find the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time.